Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 11. Thank you for joining our Zoom class last week. And today we will have another Zoom class. We will have a Zoom class every week at the same time. Okay? So don't forget to log into Zoom today. Today we're going to finish Unit 4 by looking at Unit 4B. First, let's review last week's grammar. Last week we learned the passive voice. Do you remember this story? There are two people in the story, the active voice and the passive voice. The active voice is describing the person who performs the action, the person who does the action. In this case, John killed Michael. He is active. He killed. But what if we want to talk about Michael? He's dead. He's not moving or doing any action. Instead, he experiences the action. Michael was killed by John. Now we are describing the story using the passive voice. Michael experienced the action. Another way to check if a sentence is active or passive is to add the phrase by zombies. If it makes sense, then it's a passive voice sentence. The dishes are washed by zombies. Ah, that is a perfect sentence. Now we know it is the passive voice. Okay, let's review the grammar by doing a little activity. You will see a short paragraph below, but some words are replaced with code. Can you figure out the code? Take some time to read this paragraph, and when you come back, we'll check your answers. Welcome back. This was a little difficult. Let's see if you found all of the answers. In this passage, apple is the word was. Leaf, built. Tree, born. Flower, by. Snail, were. Sun, is. Now let's read the passage together using the real words. This house was built by my grandfather when he was 20 years old. After I was born in 1980, two more rooms were built. Even more space was needed when my twin sisters were born. Luckily, my grandfather was helped by a builder friend. After I moved out and was married, the house was sold by my parents. These days, the house is owned by a young couple. Okay, so a little difficult, but hopefully you were able to solve the passive voice puzzle. Now let's look at today's new content. We are going to learn 10 new vocabulary words. Please listen and repeat after me. Allocate, crisis, experience, industry, scarce, agriculture, domestic, extremely, normal, urgent. Okay, all of these words are related to our need for clean water. Why do we need clean water in the world? And why is it so important? Now let's look at some images of these words, and I will read a sentence that uses a vocabulary in context. Hopefully, this sentence and image will help you understand the meaning of the word. Number 1. Allocate. The company will allocate 25% of its budget to marketing. Industry. South Korea's dairy industry is worth 2.1 billion won. Normal. A healthy diet can help you maintain a normal weight. Agriculture. India's agriculture includes many different crops, especially rice and wheat. Urgent. Scientists agree that climate change is an urgent problem. Crisis. The Red Cross is a charity that provides first aid and supplies during a crisis. Domestic. In the 1950s, women lived a very domestic life. And we can see her face. Experience. It is important to travel and experience the world. Extremely. Drunk driving is extremely dangerous. Never do it. Scarce. In Dubai, water is very scarce. Okay, now let's go to our first exercise in your book. You need to fill in the gap using the vocabulary words that we just learned. When you come back, we'll check your answers. Let's check your answers. Number 1. If you allocate something, you make a decision about how to use it. 2. Industry is the work of making things in factories. 3. If something is normal, it is usual and people expect it. 4. Agriculture is raising plants and animals on farms. 5. If something is urgent, you need to take care of it very soon. 6. A crisis is a large and serious problem. 7. Domestic means related to the home and family. 8. If you experience something, it happens to you. 9. Extremely means to a very great degree. 10. If something is scarce, there isn't very much of it for people to use. Okay, so as you can see, these fill-in-the-blank sentences also give a definition of each of these words. Now we're going to do a little brainstorming activity. This is a creative way to reflect on the vocabulary words. We're going to make an acrostic. An acrostic poem is a poem where certain letters in each line spell out a word or phrase. So for example, we have an acrostic poem, CATS, C-A-T-S. First, we write the word vertically, and then for each letter, we write a new word to describe the vocabulary. Cats are cuddly. Cats are acrobatic. They are tenacious, and they like softly purring. So now we have practiced the spelling of the vocabulary word, and now we're thinking about what it means. So in your notebook, create an acrostic poem for your vocabulary word to help your classmates understand the meaning. For example, take a notebook or a piece of paper and write one vocabulary word from the textbook that we're learning today. Let's look at scarce. Scarce means a small amount. When something is scarce, we can't have enough. It is a little bit only. Or it can mean something rare. Common is the opposite. Scarce, common. And sometimes it means even less than needed. Okay, so now that we've made our acrostic poem, hopefully our classmates can understand the vocabulary word a little better. Scarce means there is not enough or there is very little of something. Okay, so please make an acrostic vocabulary word in your notebook, and then you're going to share it on YSEC in the forum. Okay, and I will put this sample acrostic in the forum. Now let's have some reflection, and you can do this in your notebook. Have you ever experienced a crisis? What did you do? What is something fun that you experienced recently? What is something that you dislike extremely? What is a normal evening like with your family? And what urgent tasks do you need to work on today? So please think about your answers in your notebook. Then, after you have prepared your answer, you can share it on the YSEC forum, and you will see a forum post with these discussion questions. Let's move on to today's listening file. If Korea didn't have enough water, what should the government or individuals do to help? Imagine one day there is a really dry, hot summer in Korea with no rain at all. How can we help farmers who need water to grow food? How can we help people who don't have clean water to do what they need to do in their life? Well, we're going to listen to some people discussing this exact problem. All around the world, clean water is becoming very scarce, and with climate change, the problem will continue to get worse. So, how can we protect our water in the world? What are some things that we can do? So, today's listening is a group discussion. In your textbook, you will see 4 photos. The first time that we listen, please listen to the main ideas. Look at the photos. What are the photos about? Then, after we listen, number each photo in order of when they are discussed in the audio. When you come back, we'll check your answers.
Lesson B. Developing listening skills. Listening. A group discussion. A. Listening for main ideas. Page 76.
For our presentation on how people are affected by drought, here's some information about drought in a region called the Murray-Darling Basin. That's the biggest agricultural area in Australia. The city of Adelaide is there. In some places in the region, it hasn't rained once in 7 years. Can you imagine?
Wow, that's unbelievable.
I know. The article has some really good photos. Maybe we can show them to the class. Look, here's one of a farm family. Their name is Adlington.
They sure don't look happy. What does their farm produce?
Milk. They used to have 500 cattle and now they only have 70 because grass is so scarce.
Really? Wait a minute. In class, Professor Larson said that river is used for irrigation in Australia. What's it called? The Murray River?
Yeah, that's right. But the normal water level of the river is now extremely low. The government allocated most of the water to the city of Adelaide for domestic use and to big industrial farms. The law says that some water has to stay in the river for the fish and animals, so there's not much left for agriculture.
Well, in my opinion, water is the most important resource a place has, and cities are the top priority. I mean, that's where most people live.
And here's a picture of a lake in another part of Australia that's almost disappeared, called Lake Boga. Look at this. Now all the water in Lake Boga is used by farmers.
That's unbelievable. It's totally gone.
The article said Lake Boga used to be a vacation place. Now it's in crisis. No one stays in the hotels, and the whole town smells like dead fish.
Ugh, that's really sad. But I think growing food is the most important consideration.
Look, this photo shows an urgent meeting for rice farmers, talking about how the government reduced their water allocation. The guy in the middle, Frank Whalen, started one of the first rice farms in Australia in 1962. The article says Australia used to grow 1 million tons of rice a year, but now they only grow 21,000 tons.
You're kidding. And the world needs a lot more food.
But doesn't rice need a lot of water to grow? Maybe Australia isn't the best place for rice farms.
That just doesn't sound fair. It seems like the farmers have to give their water to industry and everyone else.
Not exactly. There are a lot of water rules and restrictions in Australian cities too. For example, the article says that water is collected in showers and used to water gardens.
Seriously?
Yeah.
All right, let's check your answers. First, they showed a photo of the farm family. Then they showed a picture of Lake Boga, which lost a lot of water. Next, they talked about this urgent meeting between farmers. In this meeting, they discussed what to do with the lack of water. And finally, they mentioned that they use water to water their gardens. All right, now that we know the main problem in this discussion, let's listen again, and this time we'll pay attention to the smaller details. In your book, you will see a fill-in-the-blank exercise. I have copied all of the sentences here. Let's listen one more time and then fill in the blank. When you finish, we'll check your answers.
Lesson B. Developing listening skills. Listening. A group discussion. A. Listening for main ideas. Page 76.
For our presentation on how people are affected by drought, here's some information about drought in a region called the Murray-Darling Basin. That's the biggest agricultural area in Australia. The city of Adelaide is there. In some places in the region, it hasn't rained once in 7 years. Can you imagine?
Wow, that's unbelievable.
I know. The article has some really good photos. Maybe we can show them to the class. Look, here's one of a farm family. Their name is Adlington.
They sure don't look happy. What does their farm produce?
Milk. They used to have 500 cattle, and now they only have 70 because grass is so scarce.
Really? Wait a minute. In class, Professor Larson said that river is used for irrigation in Australia. What's it called? The Murray River?
Yeah, that's right. But the normal water level of the river is now extremely low. The government allocated most of the water to the city of Adelaide for domestic use and to big industrial farms. The law says that some water has to stay in the river for the fish and animals, so there's not much left for agriculture.
Well, in my opinion, water is the most important resource a place has, and cities are the top priority. I mean, that's where most people live.
And here's a picture of a lake in another part of Australia that's almost disappeared, called Lake Boga. Look at this. Now all the water in Lake Boga is used by farmers.
That's unbelievable. It's totally gone.
The article said Lake Boga used to be a vacation place. Now it's in crisis. No one stays in the hotels, and the whole town smells like dead fish.
Ugh, that's really sad. But I think growing food is the most important consideration.
Look, this photo shows an urgent meeting for rice farmers, talking about how the government reduced their water allocation. The guy in the middle, Frank Whalen, started one of the first rice farms in Australia in 1962. The article says Australia used to grow 1 million tons of rice a year, but now they only grow 21,000 tons.
You're kidding. And the world needs a lot more food.
But doesn't rice need a lot of water to grow? Maybe Australia isn't the best place for rice farms.
That just doesn't sound fair. It seems like the farmers have to give their water to industry and everyone else.
Not exactly. There are a lot of water rules and restrictions in Australian cities too. For example, the article says that water is collected in showers and used to water gardens.
Seriously?
Yeah.
All right, let's check your answers. Number 1. In some places, it hasn't rained once in 7 years. Number 2. The Adlington farm used to have 500 cattle, and now they only have 70 because grass is so scarce. Number 3. Lake Boga almost disappeared because all the water is used by farmers. Number 4. Lake Boga used to be a vacation place, but now no one stays in the hotels. Number 5. Australia used to grow 1 million tons of rice a year. Now they only grow 21,000 tons. Number 6. There are a lot of water rules and restrictions in Australian cities. Number 7. People have to save water from their showers to use in their gardens. Okay, so hopefully you got all of these answers right. It sounds like living in Australia can be really difficult because of the water shortage. Can you think of any other countries in the world that might have this problem? There are many places, like in America, in California or Las Vegas, or in other desert countries in Africa, like in Dubai and Qatar. Now let's look at today's grammar. Today we're going to learn about superlative adjectives. Superlative adjectives are used to describe 3 or more nouns. Let's look at some examples. Take a look at these books. They are different. How about the black book? How can we describe this book? The black book is the thickest book. Thin, thick. In the sentence, we are saying this book is the most thick. Thickest. Now look at the sports balls. What is different about these balls? And how about the basketball? The basketball is the largest, the biggest, most large ball. Largest. Now the buildings. How about the apartment? It is the biggest building. We can also say it is the tallest building. How about these people? What is different about these people? This person, he, is the happiest person. Now look at the technology. An old clock, an old telephone, and an iPhone. What's different about the iPhone? The iPhone is the most modern. And finally, we have a coffee, a hot dog, a crown, and a small library of books. How about the crown? The gold crown is the most expensive thing. All right, so now we see examples of superlative adjectives. What is the pattern in these adjectives? Very good. We use EST, thickest, largest, biggest, happiest. Now look at the spelling. There's something a little bit different in each of these examples. Number 1, we can see EST. Number 2, ST. Number 3, GGEST. Number 4, IEST. And then we have some words that use the word most. Most expensive, most modern. Okay, so they look very similar, but the rules are a little different. So let's learn the 4 spelling rules. Number 1, the most basic spelling rule, just add EST to the end of an adjective with only 1 syllable. What is a syllable? A syllable is the number of beats in a word. For example, English, 2 beats. Korean, 3 beats. So if there is 1 syllable, add EST. Long, fast, cold, young, strong, loud. Let's change these to superlative adjectives. Long, longest, fast, fastest, cold, coldest, young, youngest, strong, strongest, loud, loudest. Okay, let's do it again, and this time I want you to say it out loud. Ready? Long, fast, cold, young, strong, loud. Okay, that was a little fast. Now let's look at rule number 2. Now imagine we have an adjective with only 1 syllable. Look at this example, big. The spelling of this adjective is ending with 1 vowel and 1 consonant. Remember, a vowel is A, E, I, O, U. If this 1 syllable adjective ends with a vowel and a consonant, we need to double the final consonant and then add EST. So let's practice with these adjectives. Big, biggest, double G. Fat, fattest, double T. Hot, hottest, double T. Mad, maddest, double D. Thin, thinnest, double N. Sad, saddest, double D. Okay, now let's do it again, but I want you to say the answers out loud. Okay, ready? Big, fat, hot, mad, thin, sad. Very good. Rule number 3. If the adjective ends with Y, we need to change Y to I and then add EST. So take a look at these adjectives. Let's change them to the superlative form. Pretty, prettiest. angry, angriest, happy, happiest, busy, busiest, sleepy, sleepiest, thirsty, thirstiest. Look at the I. Okay, we change Y to I. Now let's do it again, and this time you say the superlative adjective. Ready? Pretty, angry, happy, busy, sleepy, thirsty. Okay, great. Next rule. If the adjective ends with E, just add ST. Pretty simple. So, look at all these adjectives. They end with the letter E. We will just add ST. Close, closest. Wise, wisest. Huge, hugest. Safe, safest. Simple, simplest. Cute, cutest. Okay, now it's your turn. Ready? Close, wise, huge, safe, simple, cute. Okay, great. Now, rule number 5. If the adjective has more than 3 syllables, we must use the word most. Take a look at these adjectives. Interesting, beautiful, important, dangerous, exciting, colorful. They all have 3 or more syllables. So we will use the word most. Ready? Interesting, most interesting. Beautiful, most beautiful. Important, most important. Dangerous, most dangerous. Exciting, most exciting. Colorful, most colorful. Okay. Now there are some adjectives that don't follow these rules and they have an irregular form. So, look at all of these sentences. That movie is bad. This cake tastes good. I have many friends. Soccer is fun. Australia is far. I did badly on the test. Now let's change these sentences into the superlative form. But we don't add est. That movie is the baddest? Bang, that is wrong. That movie is the worst movie. This cake tastes the goodest. Bang. This cake tastes the best. I have the manyest friends. Bang. I have the most friends. Soccer is the funnest sport. Bang. Soccer is the most fun sport. Australia is far. Australia is the farthest country. Bang. Australia is the farthest country. I did badly on the test. In my class, I did the badliest on the test. Bang. I did the worst on my test. Notice how bad and badly both use the superlative worst, even though here it is an adjective, here it is an adverb. Okay, so we simply need to memorize these exceptions to the rule. There is one other thing. Sometimes if you write a simple sentence, we can flip the sentence and it will have the same meaning. So, cheetah equals fast. The cheetah is the fastest land animal. Here is our superlative, fastest. We can flip the sentence. The fastest land animal is the cheetah, and it has the same meaning. Okay, so now that we know all of our spelling rules, let's practice making some sentences. In your book on page 79, you will see a fill-in-the-blank activity. Take the adjective in the brackets and change it into the superlative form. When you come back, we'll check your answers. Welcome back. Let's check your answers. We already know number 1. The Nile River in Egypt is the longest river in the world. Number 2. Poisonous. Poisonous. There are 3 syllables in this adjective. So we must use most. The most poisonous spiders live in Australia. Number 3. I think Moscow is the most interesting city in the world. Again, interesting. There are 4 syllables. The Petronas Towers in Malaysia used to be the tallest in the world. The oldest city in the world is Damascus in Syria, and the best food in the world comes from my country. Okay, there's one last exercise we will do in your textbook. Here, you're going to make a sentence by changing the adjective in parentheses to the superlative, and then choosing the answer that you think is correct in real life. Then when you come back, we'll check your answers and see which facts are true. Welcome back. Let's check your answers. Number 1. The driest region in Australia is Western Australia. It is very dry. This is what we call the outback. It's where lots of kangaroos live, and it is very sunny there. Number 2, the most important crop in Australia is wheat. As in comparison to rice, wheat uses a lot less water. Number 3, the biggest ocean is the Pacific Ocean. And 4, the heaviest land animal is the elephant. All right. So not only did you make some sentences with the superlative, you also learned some trivia about the world. Finally, let's explain this week's participation work. You are going to see a file with an interview table like this. So step number 1, let's move the camera here. Okay, step 1, answer the questions about yourself and write the answers in the table. You can see your name here. So write your height, your mobile phone model. You don't need to write your phone number. So maybe you can write iPhone or Samsung S9, whatever your model is. The time that you wake up, the distance you are from Wonju, because some of you I know are in other cities right now, and how often you exercise. Okay, be honest about your answers. After you write your answers, you are going to interview your friends and family. Write their name at the top and then complete the table with their answers. After you've collected all of this information, you are going to write 5 sentences using the information in the table comparing people, and you are going to use superlative adjectives. For example, my sister is the tallest member of my family. you might make a sentence like that. Okay, and when you finish, you will submit it to WISEC as usual. So, to summarize what we need to do this week, we will, of course, watch this lecture, and then for our attendance, we will join the Zoom class. For our participation work, we will interview our friends and family and then make some sentences with superlative adjectives. And then some optional participation work that we mentioned earlier is our acrostic vocabulary and answering discussion questions based on this unit's vocabulary. Although this is not going to be used for your participation assessment, I think it is a good way to practice your writing skills and a chance to interact with the other students in your class. Okay, so don't forget our Zoom session will continue today and next week and the week after that. All right, so I will see you all in the Zoom class very soon. That's it for this lecture. Goodbye.